Well, hello friends. Welcome to the SerenityOS update for October 2023. It's been a lovely month in the project with lots of activity. Most of the activity this month has been in Ladybird, which we already covered yesterday in the Ladybird update. But there has been a whole bunch of things going on in the rest of the system as well. And today we are going to look at some of those things. So I think we had just under 1,000 commits total this month, and pretty decent amount of activity. So we have a couple of things to look at. We'll be starting with, I guess, something that you might notice is that I'm using a little bit of a new shell prompt just to try out some new prompt features. And this is something that Adam worked on this month. So I have my prompt set to this string, and the things that I'm trying out is I'm showing the current time when printing the prompt here. And this number here is supposed to tell me how many background jobs I have in this shell. So if I were to start a cat process, for example, and then background that, you can see that I have now one background job. So kind of neat. Anyways, there are a couple of other new characters or new things you can get in your prompt as well. So check that out. But thank you, Adam, for working on shell prompts. And I guess since we have the shell open, Ali did a thing also that I wanted to show you, which is a way to run things in parallel. So I guess first, let me just kill that background process. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to create 3 files full of random data in parallel instead of doing it one after the other. So I might do something like, well, let's make it count to 3. I forget if there's a different way to do this, but this should work. And then we will run in parallel. We want 3 parallel jobs, and we're going to dd from dev random. And we're going to put that into file i.rand or something, I don't know. And we will read 10 megabytes per file. And I guess we should probably bring up a process list here so we can see what actually happens when we do this, because we should get some parallelism. And do we actually see any DDs? No, right, they were too fast. Let's try 50 megabytes then. All right, 50 megabytes takes a bit longer. So you could see that we had some DDs running in parallel right here. I don't know why we're showing the idle task in this list. We're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be hidden. That's a regression. But let's not worry about that right now. Anyways, hopefully you noticed that we were running these things in parallel. So in parallel allows you to parallelize commands in the shell, which is pretty powerful, pretty useful. I know I've certainly written my share of shell scripts that do something serially that could take way less time if parallelized. So thank you, Ali, for implementing that. Okay. And other stuff that I can show you in the shell. One thing that I liked was this little thing from Karol where when grep puts out file names, so if I were to grep for root in etc, file names printed by grep are now hyperlinked. So if I wanted to actually open up etcfs tab, I could just double click on it and it will open in text editor, just like I like it. So that is pretty cool. Thank you, Karol, for doing that. And ooh, I forget who did this, but somebody fixed open. So if you were to open like a file, not a real file, a file that doesn't exist, we used to print this incomprehensible error like fail to open and then an empty string. And now we give you a much more helpful error like fail to open not a real file because there's no such file or directory. And it's just a little thing, but I like it when those kind of details get smoothed out. So thank you, whoever fixed that. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. And I think those were the main shell things I wanted to look at. So then let's take a look at solitaire, because when I was getting ready to make this video, I have to admit I got stuck on on this item. So this month, Cubic Love has added these face cards to our card decks. So we got the queens, the jacks, and they are different. So like this is the queen of clubs, right? I think that's called clubs. I don't play a lot of cards. We got the hearts and the diamonds, and hopefully there's a king in here somewhere as well. And Cubic Love has lovingly painted all these little pixel face cards, and they are just beautiful. I think they just hit the sweet spot for the aesthetic so well. So big shout outs to Cubic Love. And yes, I did spend more than 1 hour playing solitaire before recording this video. So let's not get stuck doing that again, even though it's lovely. And I think you can actually go in here in the card settings and turn them off if you prefer the anonymous ones. I don't know why anybody would, but we do have that option for some reason. Oh, card backs. It's pretty fun with these. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Let me run away from the cards. Okay. And something else that's pretty cool is File Manager is now much more responsive to changes in their underlying file system. So this is something that Adam worked on as well. Adam, who did the shell prompt features, also did a bunch of stuff here. And this should work with any directory view that you would use from our GUI library. But an example of something that works nicely now is that if I were to change the metadata on this file here, so like file2.rand, let's change it to mode 777, then you can see that it updated the mode bits and maintained the selection while doing it, and everything just looks and behaves like it should. Previously, we wouldn't notice metadata changes, and the selections would frequently get out of sync and stuff like that. So Adam went through and made this whole thing a lot more robust, so that now when file sizes, permissions, stuff like that change, then we just update without trouble. So thank you, Adam, for working on that. And then let me look at maps. So I haven't been looking at maps in one of these videos, but I think Yella did. But let's see what we can do here. What have we been looking at before? Right. So new this month in the Maps app is that we have a favorites system. So you can use this heart here to bring up the favorites panel. I don't have any favorite places yet, but I thought, why don't we add a favorite? So let's go to Oslo, where I used to live and work in the past. I used to work at Nokia here on the Qt development frameworks. And I thought we could locate the office in Nydalen, and that would be somewhere here in the BI school. And here is the Qt company. Very cool. So I'm going to add a favorite here. I guess I can just right click, say add to favorites. And then I have an unnamed place. I will rename that to Qt HQ. Although I don't know if it's the HQ anymore, so I'll just call it Qt. And the favorite system was implemented by Bastian. So thank you, Bastian, for working on that, for adding this cool feature and continuing to improve the Maps app. It is very cool. One thing that struck me while looking at the maps, by the way, is that I don't know how to say a lot of these letters. I wonder if I can get it to use Latin labels, local labels. What about English labels? Can I get English labels? Humanitarian map. I don't know what that means, but it's not humanitarian enough that I can read it. Topographical. Okay, well, it's a very cool map, actually. It reminds me of my grandmother's globe that I used to play with when I was a kid. But I still cannot read the letters. So I guess that's something that we'll look into in the future. But And also, it doesn't actually update when I press apply. I have to close this. No, it did. Okay, my bad. Let me actually check. So the favorites are here. And if I were to toggle the show me where all the SerenityOS users are, which is opt-in, people add themselves to this list if they want to. To be clear here, this is not a live telemetry, despite what my April Fool's video may have led you to believe. So here we can see some, I guess you get a tooltip. So you can see that Kenneth is here, and I have a favorite place that's close to Kenneth, apparently. Very cool. But it's cool that the favorites are red and the Serenity people are blue or gray. Anyway, let me close the Maps app, but it's pretty cool. I love it. Okay, so next thing I wanted to talk about is PDF support. So Nico has continued working on improving libpdf, and it just keeps getting better and better. And he's been showing off this PDF a bunch of times. It's like a WWDC presentation about instruments, and I think at the start of the month it was probably crashing, and then it was rendering wrong, and now it's starting to look kind of good. Although I bet you if we scroll ahead a little bit, we might not have perfection at every step of the way. But even so, it is, yeah, this probably isn't right. But it is really cool that more and more PDFs are getting more and more correct in our PDF rendering library. And Nico has just been banging away at fixing PDF issues. And I think he has a thing now where he has like a collection of 500 PDFs or something like that. And then he just loops through them and tries to load each one and collects any crashes that happen. And he's been doing these changes where the end result is like 15 less crashes and 25 less crashes on my big PDF test battery. So I'm looking forward to 0 crashes. But progress on libpdf is awesome. I think it's so cool that we have our own functioning PDF renderer here. Big shout outs to Nico for working on that. And also, something I can't show you here, but I think Nico likes to work on Mac OS. So this month he added a Mac app that uses our PDF library so that he can work directly on Mac OS. So we have this, it's in the tree now, it's called Mac PDF, which you can build. And it's kind of like our PDF viewer app, just as a native Mac application. And if you are specifically working on the PDF stuff on Mac, it is nice to be able to test it without having to boot into Serenity and all that. So actually big month for PDF, although I don't know how to demonstrate all the changes in a good way. Another thing that was really quite interesting was that Martin this month has added a new framework for unit testing that is all about this thing called property-based testing. And it was unfamiliar to me when he began working on it, but it's essentially a way to write more robust unit tests where you automatically test a range of inputs using some amount of randomness to avoid situations where you have like hard-coded unit tests that only test a small number of the possible inputs to your APIs. And he made a video about that here on YouTube. I'll link it in the description, where he demonstrates how he used this new property-based testing mechanism to find and fix a bug in one of our container classes in Serenity. And it was really, really interesting. I definitely recommend checking that out. I think we're probably going to be able to find more bugs with that technique. So big shout out to Martin for adding property-based testing framework. It was a big pull request. They had over 100 comments going back and forth, I think, but what eventually landed was really cool. So thank you, Martin, for sticking with it and getting it in and then making these cool videos about it. Hope to see more of those, actually, because it was really neat. Anyway, that was property-based testing. And speaking of testing, by the way, Tim Ledbetter has been on fire fixing fuzzing bugs. So if you're not aware, we run on this I think Google hosted infrastructure called OSS Fuzz. We have a whole bunch of different fuzzers for our libraries, and they run on Google's OSS Fuzz cloud fuzzing system, and they run all the time, and they find and report bugs to us. And until recently, those bugs have we haven't been super attentive to them. But this month, Tim Ledbetter has been fixing so many fuzzing bugs that it is quite something. And just all kinds of things, especially in image decoders. There were so many fixes from Tim where, like, check for invalid values in BMP format headers, or those kind of things, and various things with our OpenType implementation, image decoders for the various image formats, and anything that we had a fuzzer for, basically. Tim has been fixing issues. So that's been awesome to see. I guess Tim needed a break from adding command line options to every program we had, or maybe he ran out of options and had to switch to fuzzing. I don't know, but another month of tons of Tim stuff. So very cool. And I think he also added a new fuzzer for the WAF2 font format, which is great, and immediately found some bugs with that. So that's great. Like, that makes it all worth it. So thank you, Tim, for starting to pay attention to our fuzzing backlog and fixing issues and adding new fuzzers. I love it. It's so good. And another Tim that I wanted to mention, by the way, is Tim Schumacher, who added a new filter to our XZ decompression. So I think it's called a Delta filter. And as I understand it, the XZ format supports like a number of optional filters, and you need to support the filter if you want to decompress a file that is compressed using that filter. So if you don't support the filter, you can't decompress such XZ files. And we now support the Delta filter, which means that we can decompress more XZ files. And maybe that made sense to somebody. I was not aware of the filtering mechanism, but I just saw that we were able to decompress more files. I think that's awesome. Okay. And then in the kernel land, which I can't show you, I can show you by moving the cursor around, but we now support USB mouse, which was done by Liev, which is really, really cool. It's been a long time that we have been using PS2 mice, is what I mean to say. And to finally have USB mouse support is really nice. So shout outs to Liev for fixing that. And also, by the way, I don't want to forget, there was a TLS crypto change that's I think it's been in the pipeline forever, but it just finally got merged, which is ECDSA support with the SecP256R1 curve. And that was implemented by Michel. And that gives us access to a bunch more websites, because some servers use that cipher, and we didn't support that cipher before, and now we do. So very cool. And that's kind of everything that I wanted to show you here today. So thank you for stopping by and staying up to date with the SerenityOS project. It was just me today, but I think more people will join next month, perhaps. Even so, it was lovely to do a little recap of the month. I hope that we can continue doing these forever, because it's pretty nice. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who worked on SerenityOS this month and everybody who supports the project, whether you do it by supporting one of our developers, such as myself or somebody else financially, or if you work on it, or if you share about it on social media or tell your friends, anything. It is always fun when people help support the project. So thank you for that. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.